Let's dive into the ever-controversial state of California, a place that seems to split opinions right down the middle. It's the land of sun-kissed beaches, Hollywood glitz, and the tech-savvy wizards of Silicon Valley who seem to be steering the world's future. But before you book your next Botox appointment, let's not forget that California has plenty of reasons to make you roll your eyes and declare, "I can't stand California." This wasn't always the sentiment, though. For over a century and a half, California was the dream. People came in droves to strike it rich and live the good life. However, in the last 5 or 10 years, the tide has turned. Every state has its ups and downs, but for many, the downs in California have started to overshadow the ups. In this video, we'll explore all the reasons why the Golden State might feel more like a tarnished relic to some. Ready? Let's go. Air pollution first up, at number 15, is air pollution. While the overall air quality in California is about average, Los Angeles' smog is so infamous that it drags the entire state's reputation down. In the LA metro area, the air quality is, frankly, absurd. One moment you're admiring distant mountains, and the next, you're peering through a murky haze that looks like someone slapped an Instagram filter called mud over the skyline. Out-of-staters often criticize California's air quality, mostly because they end up in LA, a sprawling city teeming with people and tourists. For years, cars were blamed for the smog, and while they do contribute, recent studies show that cooking, yes, cooking, in homes and restaurants is a leading cause of particulate pollution. Other major culprits include residential heating and road dust from vehicle brakes and tires. So, while people might gripe about California's air, it's really Los Angeles that deserves the side eye. Coming in at number 14 is California's notorious drought. The situation has become so dire that they're practically moisturizing the cacti out in the desert. In a state where avocados are as good as gold, the water shortage has folks rethinking basic life choices, like whether or not showering is truly necessary. Some people even joke that California's new state bird should be a tumbleweed, endlessly rolling across the dry landscape in search of water. California's drought isn't just about a lack of rain, it's compounded by the mismanagement of the state's limited water resources. These chronic droughts and poor water management have led to severe water shortages and restrictions that impact everything from agriculture to daily life. The worst drought in California's recorded history, both in terms of severity and duration, occurred between 2012 and 2016. Though the past 2 years have seen above-average rainfall, providing some relief, many fear it's only a matter of time before California is once again deep in drought. Crime at number 13. We have crime, a topic that definitely fuels California's haters. The state is home to some legendary hotspots for crime, like Compton, South Central LA, Oakland, and Stockton. Though Compton isn't as bad as it was in the 90s, crime remains a significant concern across the state. Crime is the kind of thing that can turn a sleepy neighborhood into a chaotic scene from a low-budget action movie. Take, for example, a recent incident in LA where 2 bumbling thieves attempted to rob a bakery. One tripped over a trash bag and got tangled in the donut display, only to be thwarted by an elderly woman wielding a pipe wrench like she was born for the moment. Crime has been on the rise in California post-pandemic, with cities like Oakland and Stockton seeing extreme spikes in violent crime. High energy cost at number 12, we're talking about California's sky-high energy costs. The exorbitant prices have driven residents to install solar panels, windmills, and even settle for weak air conditioners that can't cool much more than a whisper. It's like the residents are competing in the Olympics, but instead of going for gold, they're chasing a slightly lower electric bill. Every time that energy bill shows up, it's like receiving a love letter from your utility company, if love letters came with steep price tags and zero romance. Californians are left sweating through summer and bundling up like human onions in winter, all in an effort to save a few bucks. As of 2024, the average residential electricity rate in California is around 30 cents per kilowatt hour, far above the national average of 18 cents. Despite the high costs, many Californians invested in solar panels, making enough money from selling electricity back to the grid that the power companies lobbied to impose a flat fee, now proposed at $24 a month, even if you use zero electricity. Wildfires next on the list, at number 11, are California's wildfires. These infernos don't just wreak havoc on the state's air quality. The smoke drifts across the entire western United States. I remember taking a train from Oregon to Los Angeles a few years ago, and the sky was a constant orange haze from fires burning across California, Oregon, Idaho, and Washington. It was surreal. California wildfires are like that unwelcome relative who crashes every family gathering, only instead of bringing a nice casserole, they torch your backyard, steal your oxygen, and leave a trail of ash and destruction. On average, California experiences about 7,000 to 8,000 wildfires every year. Some are small, but others are massive, like in 2023 when 7,000 fires burned nearly 325,000 acres across the state. The frequency and severity of these wildfires depend on various factors, including weather, vegetation dryness, and human activity. Traffic coming in at number 10 is traffic. If you've ever driven in California, you know what a nightmare this can be. It's the ultimate test of patience, akin to teaching a cat to fetch. I grew up in Southern California, and the 405 freeway during rush hour was my personal hell. It crawls at the speed of a sloth on vacation after an edible. California's traffic isn't just a commute. It's a journey into the absurd, where time loses all meaning, and sanity hangs by a thread. Los Angeles consistently ranks among the most congested cities globally, with drivers spending an average of 119 hours per year stuck in traffic. The San Francisco Bay Area isn't much better, with drivers wasting around 97 hours annually in gridlock. Hollywood hype at number 9 is the Hollywood hype. Some people still think Hollywood, both the lifestyle and the place, is something to aspire to. Here's the thing, neither is real. Hollywood, the location, is a mess, and the lifestyle is an illusion. Logical folks know it's all nonsense. Many visitors who make the trek up to the Hollywood sign leave disappointed. The area is a traffic nightmare, filled with souvenir shops, street performers, and an overall vibe that feels more like a cash grab than a genuine cultural experience. Believe it or not, Hollywood once had a lot of culture, especially before the 1950s. But today, it's just an overpriced, scummy tourist trap that leaves many visitors feeling disillusioned and, ultimately, hating California. Homeless crisis at number 8. We have California's homeless crisis, which is like that second cousin who crashes on your couch for a few days and ends up staying indefinitely. Tent cities are popping up everywhere, and it feels like the state is hosting an unplanned, never-ending campout. When Google Maps starts factoring in homeless encampments when giving directions, you know the problem is serious. The homeless situation in California has become so pervasive that it dominates any conversation about the state's politics. As of 2024, California has the highest homeless population in the United States, with approximately 171,000 homeless individuals, about 27.9% of the national homeless population. Taxes at number 7. We've got taxes, one of the most common complaints about California. People love to claim that California has the worst taxes, and while they're among the highest, they're not the absolute worst. New York holds that title, followed by Connecticut, Hawaii, New Jersey, and then California, which recently caught up with New Jersey. California's high taxes are driven by several factors, including the high cost of living, public infrastructure, social programs, environmental regulations, debt, pension obligations, and healthcare costs. These taxes are necessary to maintain such a large state, but they contribute to California's reputation as a tough place to live, especially when you factor in the state's regulations and its ranking as one of the worst states to run a business. High real estate costs at number 6 is the astronomical cost of real estate in California. The state's housing prices are the stuff of legend and late-night comedy routines. Imagine selling your soul, your firstborn, and maybe a kidney just to afford a cozy one-bedroom shack in San Francisco. Want a backyard? Better start playing the lottery. In April 2024, the median home price in California was approximately $852,000, an 11% increase from the previous year. The San Francisco Bay Area remains the priciest region, with a median price around $1.4 million. Meanwhile, the Central Valley offers slightly more affordable options at $493,000. Los Angeles clocks in at $840,000, a 133% jump from the previous year. If you're on a budget, you might want to steer clear of California real estate. Income inequality at number 5, we have income inequality. California's income gap is like trying to mix caviar with hot dogs. Despite being home to some of the world's wealthiest individuals and companies, many Californians struggle to make ends meet. In Silicon Valley, you'll find tech millionaires living next door to people barely scraping by, creating a bizarre juxtaposition of wealth and poverty. Income inequality in California is glaring, and the wealth disparity between the rich and the poor is one of the widest in the nation. Despite having the fifth largest economy in the world, California has the highest poverty rate in the United States when considering the cost of living. Political divide at number 4 is California's deep political divide. California is a state of contradictions. The state has produced some of the most left-leaning policies in the country, yet it also has a significant conservative population, particularly in rural and suburban areas. The state's progressive policies on issues like climate change, healthcare, and social justice have earned it a reputation as a liberal stronghold, but this has also led to tensions with those who feel alienated by the state's political direction. In many ways, California's political landscape is a microcosm of the nation's broader political divide. The state's urban-rural divide is particularly pronounced, with cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles leaning heavily Democratic, while rural areas tend to be more conservative. Wealth disparity at number 3, wealth disparity. California has become a state of haves and have-nots, with a shrinking middle class and a growing divide between the wealthy and the poor. The state's high cost of living, combined with stagnant wages for many workers, has created a situation where it's increasingly difficult for the average person to get ahead. The state's tech boom has created enormous wealth for some, but it has also driven up the cost of living and displaced many longtime residents. In cities like San Francisco, it's not uncommon to see multi-million-dollar homes sitting next to tent cities, a stark reminder of the state's growing inequality. Earthquakes at number 2, earthquakes. California is earthquake central, with the San Andreas fault line running right through the state. While earthquakes are a fact of life in California, they're a major concern for those living in the state. The constant threat of a major quake looms over Californians, with many experts warning that the big one is only a matter of time. The state has seen its fair share of major earthquakes, including the 1906 San Francisco earthquake and the 1994 Northridge earthquake. While building codes have improved, and the state is better prepared for earthquakes than in the past, the risk of a major quake is still a significant concern for residents. Overcrowded finally, at number 1, California is overcrowded. With a population of nearly 40 million people, California is the most populous state in the U.S. The state's population growth has led to overcrowding in many areas, particularly in major cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco. Overcrowding has led to a host of issues, including traffic congestion, high housing costs, and strained public services. Many Californians are feeling the squeeze, and the state's population growth shows no signs of slowing down. There you have it, folks, 15 reasons why people can't stand California. Whether it's the high cost of living, the political divide, or the constant threat of natural disasters, there's plenty to make you think twice before calling the Golden State home. But hey, it's not all bad. The weather's nice, the beaches are beautiful, and if you can survive the traffic, earthquakes, and taxes, you might just find that California is worth the hassle. Or, you might decide that there are greener pastures elsewhere. Either way, at least now you know what you're getting into.